Hey everyone, welcome back to Be Mal's Guest. It is time for our leftover recipe, and today is about comfort, as you can tell by my full hair and makeup. Anyways, that part might not make sense, but it is what it is. And yeah, we are gonna be making a chicken corn chili. This is a really easy recipe and it's really, really good. We're gonna be using the leftover chicken, that yummy verde chicken that we cooked in the crock pot. And then I've got the leftover jalapeno. We used half of it in the guacamole and also leftover half of an onion that we used in our corn. So we've got to use up these leftover items, and why not do that by creating a completely different meal than we did yesterday? So, shall we go ahead and get started? I mean, you don't have much of a choice, but I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So let's just go ahead and start with this jalapeno. I am gonna go ahead and pull the seeds out of that. And if you like spicy, leave the seeds, but I don't like too spicy, so that's why I'm removing them. And I'm gonna dice this pretty finely. So we're gonna get this all chopped up. All right, so there we have half of the jalapeno. This in this little bowl here. All right, now let's go ahead and move on to the onion. So we're gonna dice up the rest of this onion that we had from yesterday. Onion can kind of be a pain sometimes just because you gotta take the layers off and it gets a little messy, but it is worth it. I'm making a mess today, you guys. That's okay. Got my little pitch bowl so I can try to keep it organized in here. In the summertime, you don't really eat as much chilies or soups, and I really love soup. I'm sure we'll be making plenty of soup on Be Mal's Guest. It's just easy and healthy, and that's what I love about it. All right, half done, half to go. As you can see from my culinary school experience, I've just really mastered cutting techniques. That was the joke. Isn't that funny? I'm just gonna give this one more go through. Just want it to be pretty fine. I don't want too big of chunks. All right, so then I've got to put this in a bowl here. This recipe is pretty easy. It takes really little prep work. So we've got this onion here that we cut up, that jalapeno. We're gonna take some corn off the cob. Remember yesterday we used corn in our deconstructed Mexican corn that was so yummy. I went ahead and just bought extras so that we could have more today. You are welcome to use frozen corn for this recipe. Since I was buying fresh corn, I thought might as well. We'll get this all chopped off here. It's really nice when you can have fresh elements. One more. So this is gonna cut us half a cup of corn. You guys love watching me do this or what? I know, I'm pretty entertaining. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we've got the corn off the cob. So that's done. We're also going to need a clove of garlic, so let's just go ahead and we'll use our press, but we got to get the skin off that. So we'll need 1 clove of garlic. That's done. And then we just need about a tablespoon of cilantro. We'll just give this a rough chop. And there we have it. That's literally all the prep work that goes into our meal, and everything else that we're gonna do happens in the pot. So we are going to reframe, head over to the stove, and I'll see you back in a second. Moving right along to what's happening on the stove. So I brought over all the ingredients, so we have those here. I even mounted the GoPro right here, so we're gonna see how that works out. I'm gonna put 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil in here. Medium heat, let that heat for a second, and then I'm gonna add half of my chopped yellow onion. So that's diced nicely. And we are just gonna cook this for 3 minutes or so. We just want it to start getting a little bit soft. And when it comes to what onions to use, do you use a white, do you use a yellow? Sometimes recipes tell you, sometimes they don't. I barely ever use red onion because it's really harsh and I don't like the flavor of it. I tend to go for white onion if I really want that kind of true onion flavor without it being as pungent as a red onion. Yellows are really nice and sweet, and I think in this chili, going with the corn, it adds really nice flavor. So that's why we're using yellow. The serving sizes I'm making is 2 today. So obviously if you want to make more, you make more. But to go along with the theme of the fact that it's really hard to cook for 1 or 2 people, we're making everything a little bit smaller. And this is a great leftover recipe. This chicken that we cooked yesterday will be perfect in here. Another option is if you wanted to make this but you didn't have the chicken already, you could do like a rotisserie chicken, any sort of chicken that's already cooked. This is getting nice and translucent. Cooking down really well. We'll give it 1 more minute, and then I'm going to add in my green chilies. So we have just a small 4-ounce can of diced green chilies. We have that half a jalapeno that we diced up earlier, and then we have 1 clove of garlic. So I'm gonna just stick this garlic in my press. You guys know I love this thing. Squeeze it right on in there, and we'll use this knife here to get the excess off. Perfect. Give that a whirl. We'll add in the jalapeno. Oh my gosh, the aromatics are ridiculous right now. And last but not least, the 4 ounces of green chilies. I so wish that you guys could smell this. So I am just gonna let all of this kind of combine and cook down just for 2 minutes or so before I add our beans, our broth, and our chicken. And I hope you guys are making this at home. And if you are, let me know, whether that's in a comment or a picture. Either way, I wanna know, because that's part of the exciting thing for me, will be seeing if you're making what I'm cooking and trying to show you, because cooking is so much easier than we think it is. And to get it started is not easy. I'm not gonna pretend like I was the best cook in the world when I started, but I've kind of learned how to make delicious meals that are healthier and don't take a ton of time and effort. And this is one of those. I have got a can of pinto beans. You could use a white bean. You could really use any kind of bean that you wanted. We are gonna mash them later, so I like the pinto bean, because if you were to use like a black bean or something, it wouldn't be the prettiest chili you ever saw. Then we've got a can of chicken broth right here, so we'll add that. And last but not least, we have our leftover verde chicken from yesterday that I cooked in the crock pot, and we've got about a cup of that. I believe that everything is a recommendation. If you want more chicken in your chili, put more chicken in your chili. As far as actual measurements go, I think it's up to you how much you want in there. Also gonna add a half of a teaspoon of ground cumin. If you don't have ground cumin, obviously you could skip it, but I would just recommend buying it and having it. Spices are great to have on hand for cooking, because you can throw them into so many different things to really elevate the flavor profiles right on in there. We've got all this stirred together. Now what's gonna happen is we are going to bring this all to a boil, and then I am going to reduce the heat, and it's gonna simmer for about 15 minutes. Let's crank up this heat a bit. We're gonna wait for it to boil, then I'm gonna reduce it. What do I do in the meantime? I should have it. This is why I drink while I cook, because then I would be having a drink. Not today. Not every day. So this is nice and bubbly. I'm gonna reduce this. Now it's just gonna simmer down for about 15 minutes. And then we'll add the rest of our ingredients, and then we'll eat. Yes, see you back in a minute. So this has been simmering really nicely. It's reduced down, so I'm just gonna give it a quick stir here. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this potato masher, and we're just gonna lightly mash up those beans, and it's gonna really thicken it really nicely. I know it probably seems weird to be mashing like beans and chicken, but I promise you, it's worth it. So we'll get these all mashed up, and literally we have 3 ingredients left to add, and it's time to eat. So you'll see from the overhead shot, it looks really nice and thick. Now I'm going to add in the corn. So there's that. Then we have the cheese. So that was about half a cup of corn. Remember, we cut the 2 kernels off earlier. Then we have about a 1/4 cup of cheese. You can put in more. I would start with less and add more. Any sort of mixed cheese will do. And then we just have a tablespoon of cilantro. So we've got all of that in there. We'll give this a stir. This is like a super hearty meal, but the ingredients are all pretty healthy, so it's nice because you're gonna feel really full. I'm gonna turn this heat off. For the sake of not resetting up the camera, I'm gonna grab a bowl. We're just gonna eat right here. Just gonna put some of this in here. It smells good. And adding that cilantro really makes a big difference, so I really wouldn't skip that step. I would go out and buy it if you need to. You're welcome to top this with a dollop of sour cream, some extra cilantro. If you want to make cornbread to go with it, that would be really yummy. Today I'm just gonna eat. It's nice and hot. It's honestly just simple and delicious. It's nice and hearty while still being healthy. I mean, we didn't put any butter in this. There's no cream. So I hope that you enjoyed it. This is our leftover meal. Come back next week. Got a whole new round of shows with new guests and new ways to transform your leftovers. Until then, see you later.